Are you ready to uncover a discovery at the Grand Canyon that is sending shivers down the spines of viewers worldwide? Join me on this journey as we delve into the mysterious and creepy phenomenon that's taking the internet by storm. The Grand Canyon is one of the most breathtaking natural wonders in the world. Located in northern Arizona, USA, it is a steep-sided canyon that was carved over millions of years by the Colorado River. It stretches for 277 miles and is up to 18 miles wide in some areas. The Grand Canyon is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and attracts millions of visitors every year. The canyon itself is a geological marvel, showcasing over 2 billion years of Earth's history through its exposed rock layers. The unique combination of geology and climate in the area has resulted in an ecosystem that is home to a variety of flora and fauna, some of which are found nowhere else on the planet. There are numerous ways to experience the Grand Canyon, from hiking and rafting to scenic drives and helicopter tours. One of the most popular ways to explore the canyon is through the South Rim, which offers breathtaking views and plenty of opportunities for hiking and sightseeing. Despite its beauty, the Grand Canyon can also be a dangerous place with extreme temperatures, rugged terrain, and hazardous wildlife. Visitors are encouraged to follow safety guidelines and respect the fragile ecosystem of the area. The myth surrounding the Egyptian relics found in the Grand Canyon. The Phoenix Gazette published 2 stories in March and April 1909 about the discovery of a large underground citadel that had been hidden in a cave in the Grand Canyon. The stories focused on the discovery of a citadel. The only person to be mentioned in the first article for the month of March is the explorer G.E. Kincaid, and his travels along the Colorado River are the subject of this article. The article also mentions that he made some fascinating archaeological discoveries. However, it does not provide any additional information about these findings. The second story provides a more in-depth account of Kincaid's journey down the Colorado River, during which he discovered an ancient city concealed within caves that had been carved by humans rather than being formed naturally. Kincaid described the city as having an Oriental or Egyptian flavor, despite the fact that the Southwest is home to many Pueblo ruins and cities that belong to many different tribes of Pueblo people. Mummies, a shrine with a figure sitting cross-legged, holding a lotus flower or lily in each hand, hieroglyphic writings, and war weapons and copper instruments with sharpened edges as hard as steel was said to be hidden within the intricately carved tunnels and caves, as well as within the city itself. According to Kincaid's estimates, 50,000 people had at one time made their homes in the tunnels and caves. The Smithsonian Institution was reportedly involved in the research and investigation of the site, as the article goes on to explain. These are the only 2 stories that have ever been published on the topic, and the majority of inquiries end in fruitless pursuits. The most pressing question is whether or not the accounts were fabricated. Perhaps they were an April Fool's Day joke. On his journey down the river, John Wesley Powell, the man credited with being the first person to explore the Grand Canyon, made the observation that there were a great number of caves in the area. A well-traveled path, ruins, hieroglyphics, and shards of broken pottery were among the artifacts that he and his men unearthed while on their expedition. Since Powell's initial discovery of the Grand Canyon, it has been the subject of a great deal of research over the years. Within the boundaries of Grand Canyon National Park, archaeologists have discovered over 400 Native American sites that date back as far as 12,000 years. Is it possible that Kincaid got the origins of the cave all wrong, and that it was actually something else entirely? Indeed, it is the case. The description of mummies and the Asian influence that Kincaid provides in the newspaper article, on the other hand, raises some questions that can't be ignored. The Smithsonian Institution does not appear to have any records of such an expedition, nor does it appear that they took part in any excavations of underground cities within the Grand Canyon. The Smithsonian Institution, on the other hand, has organized a number of trips to investigate the Native American ruins located across the Southwest and in the Grand Canyon. It is highly improbable that a building that is devoted to the study and comprehension of history would conceal such a find. However, if cultures from the Middle East or Asia did make their way to North America around 4,000 years ago or so, it would unquestionably cause the history of our world to be rewritten in a manner that is more accurate and more interesting. It is also interesting that many of the attractions in the park have Egyptian names, such as the Tower of Set, the Tower of Ra, the Horus Temple, the Osiris Temple, and the Isis Temple. Additionally, There are locations in Haunted Canyon with names such as Cheops Pyramid, the Buddha Cloister, the Buddha Temple, Manu Temple, and Shiva Temple. On land owned by the government, the region that is rumored to be the site of the hidden city is, in point of fact, restricted to the general public. Kincaid had this to say about the location. I was about 42 miles up the river from the El Tovar Crystal Canyon when I noticed stains in the sedimentary formation about 2,000 feet above the riverbed on the east wall. There was no path leading to this point, but I was eventually able to make it there despite the many obstacles. The entrance to the cave was situated on a shelf that prevented it from being seen from the river below. A Hopi Indian legend claims that their ancestors once lived underground in the Grand Canyon until the people of One Heart and the people of Two Hearts began to fight against one another. The leader of the people who had only one heart caused a tree to sprout and eventually grow through the cave ceiling. The people of the One Heart sent a messenger to the Temple of the Sun in order to ask for a blessing of peace, goodwill, and rain. However, the messenger never came back. According to the Hopi legend, the messenger will one day return, and when he does, the ancestral lands and dwellings of the Hopi will be given back to them. Is there a link that can be made between North America and either Asia or Egypt? If that's the case, has the truth been buried by someone? Or maybe this mysterious city is actually a Native American site that has been found and is now being guarded for the safety of the native peoples. This could be the reason why no additional articles have been published on the topic. In either scenario, the reasons behind the publications of the articles in the Phoenix Gazette continue to be a mystery. The Grand Canyon's Forbidden Zone and the law. It appears that the anonymous author of the news article in 1909 decided to capitalize on and sensationalize these names. However, when confronted with the next step in research, which validates the claim that this section of the park is forbidden to explore, this reasonable theory quickly becomes challenging. The following geographical areas and/or roads within Grand Canyon National Park are closed to public use or are restricted by specific activities and/or specific times for specific activities. Hopi Fire Tower and Access Road, Maricopa Point Endangered Plant Area, Hopi Salt Mines, extending from River Mile 62. It's important to remember that these mines are not active mining operations and may never have been mined at all, but rather ancient man-made tunnels, allegedly made by the Hopi as their name suggests, which is fascinating in and of itself. The monotonous text then discreetly commands that no one is permitted to enter any cave or mine at the park at any time, at any place, without a permit, which they will never be granted. In addition, artificial anthropogenic features, i.e. mine works, that comprise a twilight zone and a zone of perpetual darkness will be managed as caves as per the Federal Cave Resources Protection Act of 1988. As if these restricted areas weren't suspicious enough, legislation was passed in 1987 that restricts airspace over the canyon, as well as only two other national parks, Yosemite and Haleakala, ostensibly to provide for substantial restoration of the park's natural quiet and experience and protection of public health and safety from adverse effects associated with aircraft overflight. What on earth are they on about here? Restoration of natural quiet, park experience, and public health and safety protection? How does an airplane flying thousands of feet above the canyon endanger public health and safety? And if noise pollution is a legitimate concern, which I doubt, why aren't they concerned about it in the other 418 national parks, only these three? Other similarities exist between these three parks. They're all sites of primordial geologic upheaval, volcanic remnants, karst earth deposits, vast unexplored cave systems, and native lore centered on lost races of homonyms, demigods, and deities tasked with creating the world. Other mysteries in the Grand Canyon's Forbidden Zone. Is there any other evidence of a lost or indigenous culture in the area? There is, in fact, one, that of the Anasazi, whose name translates as the Ancient Ones or the Ancient Enemies. They were highly mysterious people who lived throughout the Southwest and were responsible for the many strange stone structures that dot the landscape and confound authorities. Mesa Verde, Four Corners, Mummy Cave, Chaco Canyon, Stanton's Cave, and the canyons of the Ancients National Monument had all been abandoned by the time Europeans arrived, leaving only perplexing ruins of master masonry that were often aligned with solar and lunar events and adorned with odd towers and subterranean sacred spaces known as kivas. Modern scholars believe that these people were simply another Native American tribe that assimilated to the so-called modern Puebloans. explaining their disappearance. However, Navajo, Paiute, and Hopi oral traditions all agree that the region was previously inhabited by genetically or culturally distinct, vicious, and cannibalistic people, and that these ancient enemies were eventually driven away or extinction, though some degree of assimilation most likely occurred. While all of the aforementioned sites are worth investigating in relation to this mystery, Stanton's Cave and Mummy Cave are perhaps the two most intriguing. Stanton's Cave is near the South Canyon camping beach, but not in the Forbidden Zone. The authorities initially thought this cave was man-made, and it is now sealed with metal bars to prevent entry. According to the sign, this is for the safety of the public, as well as to protect an endangered bat habitat. The cavity's ceiling is clearly vaulted and does not resemble a natural feature. This cavity was also inhabited in the distant past, and many valuable artifacts were removed during an official excavation in 1969 to 1970. Mummy Cave, located at Canyon de Chelly National Monument, not to be confused with the Mummy Cave site in Wyoming, is about an hour and a half northeast of the Grand Canyon. This bizarre, mesmerizing ancient ruin is massive and very strange. Among the discoveries were no animal bones, skins, clothing, or bedding. Many of the rooms are devoid of everything except water vessels. One room, approximately 40 by 700 feet, was most likely the main dining hall, as cooking utensils were discovered here. What these people ate is unknown, though it is assumed that they came south in the winter and farmed in the valleys before returning north in the summer. The caverns could have comfortably housed up to 50,000 people. According to one theory, the current Indian tribes found in Arizona are descended from the cave's serfs or slaves. Undoubtedly, a people who reached a high level of civilization lived here for many thousands of years before the Christian era. This theory fits well with Native American traditions that depict the Anasazi as ancient enemies, and there is undeniable evidence that these people inhabited the region long before the current tribes and that sinister events were taking place at these sites. For example, while no animal bones or skins were discovered, human remains were discovered. Human remains are not surprising in and of themselves, but the manner in which they were discovered is quite concerning. Big Cave is a short distance from Mummy Cave and is located in Canyon del Muerto, a section of Canyon de Chelly, the Canyon of the Dead. The remains of 14 infants were discovered in a slab-lined cyst that had previously been used as a storage bin. 4 other children's bodies were packed in an enormous basket beneath the infants. And that's all for today. Subscribe for more.